So how many hits? D6, strength 10.
And some people choose this as the front of the hull.
Well, as long as
like
you declare it.
using that. Yeah, it doesn't really matter.
I'd actually prefer the death roller because then you don't get this kind of situation.
I guess that's true.
It
Here, let's do the death roller. Go like that.
Okay.
There you go.
Because as long as you declare at the beginning of the game, that means you have to deploy it up to here rather than up to here, and
yeah, I guess that makes sense.
it just gives you a bigger footprint. That's all. So 5 strength 10 hits, and that's always obviously going to be on 2s. And these are close combat hits. Now they're not AP anything, right?
No.
Okay, so 5 wounds,
and you get your normal armor save,
which is 5+. So we normally allocate these, but because and then it would go nearest to farthest. But because they are all the same armor saves, I can just roll them all at the same time. So 5+. So 2 are saved, so 3 die. So in this case, I have to go nearest to farthest. So this will be this guy, then this guy, then this guy. I'm assuming it's nearest to farthest, right?
Yeah, well, in the movement phase, it doesn't really specify in the rulebook, but I assume so.
And your FAQ in the orcs doesn't specify?
No, it just says it deals wounds. So I guess when you're dealing wounds, it's always from the closest to whatever dealt the wounds to you.
That's how I would. It seems to be what they are intending, at least.
That's the way it is in the shooting phase, the way in the assault phase, so...
Okay, so that's not officially in the rules, but we're going to assume that it is. Now here's a curious thing. Because of the closest to farthest, this is actually probably going to be out of coherency. So what does that mean?
Out of coherency, new rules. Well, I don't know if they're new rules, but if they're out of coherency, all you have to do is move so that you end in coherency.
So you have to try to get back into coherency, if possible, and which usually is.
But if you can't, then there's no penalties, as long as you tried to get back into coherency.
So you move directly towards your squad.
Right.
Okay.
And so that the penalty could be you can't move forward because you have to move together.
Yes. Yeah, exactly. So it limits your movement, but in this case, it's not going to matter. No. Okay, so you tank shock them. They are fearless, so we're not going to have to do any leadership tests. So now you can snapshot. You can fire all your weapons as snapshots. So what do you want to start with? You want to start with the crack?
You know what? I am actually going to shoot every... yeah.
What do you think? Oh, are you gonna run?
No, I could. No, oh no, I can't flat out. If you tank shock, you can't flat out.
Okay, so you can't go flat out and tank shock me again. That's too bad. That'd be 2d6 strength 10 hits. Yeah, that seems awesome. That seems a little overpowered for a battle wagon. So you're gonna fire at the hive tyrant instead?
No, I'm gonna try to take out the deeds.
Yeah, because remember, you're not trying to win. We're just trying to, and this will allow us to do a bit of wound allocation, because we're gonna have some guys in cover. Because as you look down through here, they're gonna be in cover. Yes. And if they're not, let's say at least these two are, not because I'm trying to make them stay alive, but because I want.
These three guys are at least 25% covered from their weapons and that's what gives them cover.
Okay, so it's 25% now, not 50.
25% of the model.
Okay, so here's the thing. Dan can choose to focus fire. Now, can you focus fire individual weapons, or does the entire squad focus fire? I think the entire squad has to focus fire.
Yes.
So you could. So here, whether it's focus fire in this case probably won't make sense, but I still want to explain it. Basically, the whole squad is going to get a 5+ cover save because at least 50% of the squad is in cover. He can choose to ignore certain cover saves. He can say, you know what, I want to ignore anything that's a 5 or a better cover save. Or heck, I want to ignore anybody who gets cover saves. So essentially he's just firing at these two. In that case, he has to center blast weapons over these two. And he rolls to hit and wound as normal, but he can only kill the guys who are not in cover. So this will be great against players who tend to like to keep 50% of their 30-man squad in cover, and the other 15 are way out Congo lining out front so they can charge in. So now you can say, well, I'm just going to focus fire on the 15 in front because, hey, that's 15 models anyways.
Yeah.
And so even if I kill 16 or 17, that's not a big deal because you're pushing back that charge range.
But also, Congo lines are extremely not as good.
Yeah.
Because you can get stuck in the combat. You can't take guys from out the back. So you get stuck in a combat with a Congo line, your main horde's right here. You're in combat, but then...
Because they can kill any number of guys.
Then they can kill 10 guys, and then you move your 3 inches at your initiative, and all of a sudden...
You're out.
Nothing.
Yeah, so Congo lines aren't nearly as effective, which is good, I guess.
Yeah. Okay, so I'm guessing... I am going to focus fire.
So you're going to focus fire all your weapons on these two guys.
Right. The reason is because I'm hitting on 6s, and I'm only rolling 7 dice.
Okay, that's true.
And so if I do a good roll, I'll get 2.
Okay, that's true.
So
the white die is your crack?
Yes.
And the other ones are your big shooters?
So it's 6s to hit.
And there's no re-rolling, right?
No.
Hey, you got 2 of them. Look at that. So that's strength 5
yep.
against toughness 4, so it's 3 pluses to boot. And you got him. That was actually very smart because right now I would normally get to go save, and I would have saved one of them. So 2 of these guys died because of focus fire. So there we go. That actually worked out.
Yeah.
Good thinking. Because you're already snapshotting, so why not?
Yeah, you just think statistically, if you're not going to do that much more. I mean, technically there's always a chance of you having a really lucky roll, but it just makes for a little more tactics of, you know, you could always do that lucky roll, but
you basically
more reliably.
You have to gamble. You have to say, I want to go for the thing that's a lower probability but higher damage. So it's kind of like high risk investing as opposed to low risk investing. High risk you could have higher returns, but low risk you can't, but you have a better chance of getting those returns.
All right. Now,
analogy open, or analogy over.
I think I'm gonna die now.
Yeah, now it's time for me to kill the battle wagon. Okay, so Tyranid's turn 2.
Oh.
All right, so movement phase. I think it's pretty straightforward. What's the side armor of the battle wagon?
12.
Okay. All right, so he moves up. I'm gonna declare that they're moving through difficult terrain just because we want to show this.
Okay.
Do they get to re-roll dice through difficult terrain with their fleet?
No.
But they do have to move through cover.
Okay, so whatever move through cover does, I think they roll 3.
Okay, so just double checking move through cover to see that it hasn't changed. And it hasn't really, the basics haven't changed. Instead of rolling 2 dice, you roll 3 dice and take your highest. But they also automatically pass dangerous terrain tests. So that's a big deal for Tyranids, because that's most of them have moved through cover.
Wow.
So I'm gonna move through cover just for the heck of it.
Okay.
I know I could go around, but you know, whatever. And we roll a 6. And so I'm just...
Doesn't really matter where you go.
No, I gotta stay with outside of 1 inch. And he'll go over here. I'll just stay in coherency. There.
All right.
So then we have our shoot phase. So he's obviously gonna unload. He's gonna take the chance of hitting his own guys. So he'll do the blast right there. So direct hit again. So 9 against armor 12.
Yes,
So
that's
3's to glance. So I got a glancing. So he's lost a hull point.
And that's it. Well, you can shoot more.
I have the other ones to shoot too.
So I go down to 3 hull points. So I'll just put it right here.
Yeah, now we have the 6. You can take that off now. We've got the 6 devour shots hitting on 4 as re-rolling. So 4 hits, 5 hits. So these are strength 6 against armor 12.
Yeah, so
6
is
is
a
the glance. So that's another one.
So I'm down to 2 hull points.
That's actually, this is a big deal. I feel much more powerful against tank or against vehicles, whereas before it'd be very difficult. These guys aren't going to do anything in the shooting phase. So now we have our charges. Now these guys are fine because they're with 1 inch. I'm not even going to roll it. So they're just going to move in. This guy still has to roll. So there is a chance the Hive Tyrant will not get into close combat. It's a very small chance. I have to roll 4 or better.
Also, vehicles cannot snapshot.
Right, there's no Overwatch.
For whatever reason. They're just too big and cumbersome.
Yeah.
Or whatever.
Yeah. Maybe it'd probably be too powerful. But then again, big squads of guys can be powerful too.
Who knows?
So he charges 9 inches.
I think you got it.
I think I got it. I'm just going to turn him because his gun is in the way.
Sure.
So now this is one big multi-assault. It's not a multi-assault really because you don't get your +1 attack. It is a big combat.
Yes.
It's a complicated combat.
Multiple people are attacking my vehicle.
So we got to go with the highest initiative down to the lowest initiative. So the highest initiative would be the Geniuses at initiative 6, and then the Hive Tyrant is initiative 5. And so these guys charge, so they get their +1 attack, unless that's changed.
Nope.
I'm assuming it hasn't.
Still get your +1.
So they're normally 2 attacks, they have 3 attacks each, so 9 attacks. Your weapon skill 1, I'm weapon skill 6. So I hit you on 3s. So that's a lot better than the before. That was 6s. Right now it'd be 6s, and now it's 3s. That's 4 times better. Yeah, I think I'm gonna have less problems against vehicles. Still some problems, but less. I don't have scything talent, so they don't re-roll anything. So I actually rolled pretty crappy for 3 pluses, but still. So now I hit against rear armor, which is 10, correct?
Yes.
And strength 4, so I need 6s. They have rending, so those 6s will be automatically penetrating because I get to add another d3 to that, which will make a minimum 11. It's a curious thing that rending does. It makes it so you can't roll a 10 with strength 4. And since most armor values are 10 on the rear, it's actually impossible for rending with these guys, unless if it's impossible for these guys with rending to glance a vehicle. They either penetrate or nothing. So there's 3 6s. Wow, okay.
That doesn't matter.
Well, it might blow up.
Oh, that's true. It might blow up.
So these are an AP nothing. and it blows up. So we're not going to bother to roll for how far because everybody's in base contact. And it's a strength 3 hit to everybody around when it explodes.
Strength 3.
It's not strength 4.
Strength 4 is if your passenger's inside.
Okay, so we'll go against the Genestealers first. So it's a 5 to wound them. So 1 wound, and they get their armor save.
Yep.
And they do not save, so closest, which is my choice because they're all the closest. And then a 6 to wound the Hive Tyrant. He does get wounded, but he gets his 3+ save. And he makes it, so they're fine. And then that's removed. And the Tyranids win.
Yes.
So let's do a quick recap here.
Okay.
Of some of the things that we've learned. Now, I think it's hard to say if I got lucky with my rolls. I did get 2 direct hits with the Strength 9 hitting, but in the case of the Battle Wagon that didn't matter because the Genestealers alone, with their 3 penetrating hits, they exploded it. So the hull points didn't matter for the Battle Wagon. They would have blown it up anyways. But so I don't know if lucky rolls, although 3 6s, that's a pretty lucky roll, I guess. So lucky rolls had something to do with that. I think the Hive Tyrant would have finished it off anyways because he's strength 6. Monstrous creatures still have 2d6 armor penetration.
I'm not sure actually. They can do a smash attack.
Oh, so that's something completely different that we didn't even get to.
Yeah.
Oh, jeez. Well, we weren't focusing on monstrous creatures. We're focusing on vehicles. Maybe we'll do another video where we have a monstrous creature show what they can do against vehicles.
Basically, a smash attack is you half your attacks, but you double your strength.
Like even past 10? Or
No, up to 10.
Okay.
Yeah.
And then we'll... Awesome.
Strength 15.
Strength 18. Carnifex.
So Carnifex, wouldn't be that effective, but the guys that are like strength 5, monstrous creatures.
Yeah. Like
all of a sudden,
Turvagons all of a sudden actually can do something.
They can instant kill stuff that normally couldn't. All that kind of fun stuff.
Well, I'm gonna have to. I actually haven't read a lot about the monstrous creatures yet, so I'm gonna have to do that. Maybe I'll have to have a video just about monstrous creatures then.
There's a lot.
So we learned a bit about rending, a bit about fleet, move through cover. We covered assaulting vehicles. We didn't see a lot of different things with the assaulting the vehicles because it was pretty straightforward, but pretty straightforward anyways.
I think with hull points, it makes it so they're more survivable off those 1 big hits, but off a bunch of little hits, they'll die very, very fast.
Yeah, so armies like Tyranids, I think, just received a big buff against vehicles.
And orcs.
Orcs received a big buff. Although orcs, there's not a lot of attacks against vehicles.
Like a Ludas.
I guess Ludas, yeah. I'm thinking of the boys, because they can't hurt vehicles. Although when they charge in strength 4, so they can glance. I don't know. So that'll matter now, because before it's like, oh, big deal, I get to do...
So if you cause three glancing hits on
well,
like
you're going
a
to do
little
more
thing.
than that now, because
with all the hits,
before when you charged, most of the time the vehicles, you're hitting them on 4s or 6s, and now you're going to hit them on 3s.
Yeah.
That's pretty awesome. So yeah, all of a sudden your strength 4 basic guy Space Marines are all of a sudden more effective against vehicles just by charging them. Now they already had a lot of anti-vehicle anyways, but your basic units, I'm glad they did that. I felt that the vehicles were a little too segregated from infantry, so that was good. The looted wagon didn't have any chance to fire. We did see focus fire, which I'm glad you did because it showed the effectiveness of it. That you killed you killed 100% more than you would have. You would have killed 1 guy, but you killed 2 with a focus fire. That was an effective representation, I think, or a demonstration of that. So.
Yeah, and that was just when we do a small amount of shooting, but when you have bigger squads and different things, and if the...
Or they could be like in this super heavy cover, like 4+ or 3+ cover.
Right.
And then there's a few, then they're out of that, and you're like, okay, let's just take these guys.
And
I only have a few shots anyways, so you might as well not have any cover saves.
And when you're shooting with, like, for example, like a boom gun that has AP3, it would ignore like a lot of the power armor. Ignoring cover is a huge thing.
Yeah.
Even if you only guarantee to, or you can add max kill 4 instead of like 6, but then all your cover's gone, so you'll probably kill more anyway.
It feels like focus fire is going to be more effective with lower number of shots because you weren't going to kill a lot of guys anyways with a lower number of shots, so you might as well make sure you kill those guys that are out in the open. Whereas a higher number of shots, you're probably better off. It all depends on the situation. You have to analyze each situation yourself. But a higher number of shots, they're going to get through that cover save anyways. And so only being able to kill a small portion of the squad might be too big a disadvantage for that. Alright, so this is our first video. We'll be doing a lot more of these. This is really highlighting the vehicles and how they work in assaults and how they work with the snapshots. So hopefully you learned some new things. Hopefully we did it all right. If you think we did anything wrong, read the rule book first off before you post. So if you don't have a rule book, you're not allowed to post because you're just going to read by what other people have said on the forums, and they might be wrong. So make sure you have a rule book before you commentate on whether we did things right or wrong. If we did do something wrong, We want to know. Put it in the comments below. We're still learning it as well, so it'll help us to catch those little mistakes that might crop up in battle reports, which we don't want. Anyways, this is Matthew.
This is Dan.
Happy wargaming.